Hi everyone, today let us continue with general anesthetics. So past 2 to 3 classes we are discussing with the general anesthetics and we are having the continuation of the above classes. Okay. So next is the intravenous anesthetics. So these drugs are again classified into fast acting and slower acting. So fast acting, so these drugs which on IV injection produces loss of consciousness, so they are generally used for induction, that is inducing anesthesia because of rapidity of onset of action, that is very speed in its action. So anesthesia is then usually maintained by the inhalational agents. So they also serve to reduce the amount of maintenance of anesthesia, so that is anesthesia that is required to maintenance. So supplemented with analgesics and muscle relaxants, they also can be used as a sole anesthetic agent, that is when you are adequately supplied with the analgesics, that is pain relieving agent, and a muscle relaxant, so they can use this fast acting drug alone for inducing or maintenance of anesthesia. So example is thiopentone sodium. So it is ultra short acting thiobarbiturate, that is classification, that is its chemical nature, highly soluble in water, yielding a very alkaline solution which must be prepared freshly before injection. So injected IV, it produces unconscious in nearly 15 to 20 seconds. Its undissociated form has a high lipid solubility. It will enter the brain almost instantly. So it is highly lipid soluble. So usually lipid soluble substances can penetrate your blood brain barrier very easily. Okay. So thiopentone is a very poor analgesic agent. So painful procedures should not be carried out under the influence unless it is an opioid or nitrous oxide should be given. So opioid is the centrally acting analgesics and nitrous oxide is the, again we have discussed it earlier. So it is a weak muscle relaxant. It does not irritate the air passages. Blood pressure falls immediately after the injection, mainly due to vasodilation, but recovers rapidly. Cardiovascular collapse can occur in hypovolemia, shock or sepsis is present. Okay. So thiopentone is commonly used inducing agent. It can be employed as a sole anesthetic for short operations that are not painful. Okay. So occasionally it is used for rapid control of convulsions, that is epilepsy. Gradual IV infusion of the sub-anesthetic doses can be used to facilitate the verbal communication with psychiatric patient, that is the patient that is psychiatric, or narcoanalysis that we have seen in many movies. So narcoanalysis of the criminals. Okay. So adverse effect, it can lead to laryngospasm, generally when respiratory secretions or other irritants are present, or when intubation means insertion of tube, it is attempted while anesthesia is very light. This can be prevented by atropine pre-medication. You have to add atropine as a pre-medication and administered of succinylcholine immediately after thiopentone. So succinylcholine and thiopentone can react chemically. It should not be mixed in the same syringe. Okay, so they will produce chemical antagonism. So shivering and delirium, that is excitation, can occur during recovery. Pain in the post-operative periods is likely to induce the restlessness. Adequate analgesia should be provided. Okay. So post-anesthetic nausea, vomiting are common. It can precipitate acute intermittent porphyria. It's susceptible individuals, therefore it is contraindicated. Okay. So this is iron disorder. Then next is the propofol. So currently propofol has superseded thiopentone, that is it is overcome the thiopentone as an IV anesthetic, both for induction as well as maintenance of the anesthesia. It is an oily liquid employed as an 1% of emulsion. Unconsciousness after propofol injection will occur in nearly 15 to 45 seconds and last nearly 5 to 10 minutes. So intermittent injection or continuously infusion of propofol is required, used for total IV anesthesia, then supplementary by fentanyl. So it lacks airway irritancy, does not produce irritation of their airways, and is not likely to produce bronchospasm. It is preferred in asthmatics because it is not irritating your respiratory tract. It is particularly suited for outpatient surgery, that is OP surgery, because residual impairment is less marked and short lasted. So incidence of post-operative nausea and vomiting is very low. Patient acceptability is very good. So excitatory effects and involuntary movements are not noted in few patients. The next, ketamine. So this is a unique anesthetic pharmacologically related to hallucinogen phencyclidine. So So it induces so-called dissociative anesthesia. So it is characterized by profound analgesia, immobility, amnesia with a light sleep. So patient appears to be conscious, that is, he opens his eyes, makes swallowing movements, and his muscles are stiff, but he is unable to process a sensory stimuli and does not react to them. Okay, the patient may look conscious, but he cannot respond to it. Thus, the patient appears to be dissociated from the body and his surroundings. Okay, so he is physically present and his eyes will be open, but he is not present in the present surrounding. So the primary site of action is the cortex and subcortical areas, so not in the reticular activating system, which is the site of action of barbiturates. So respiration is not depressed, bronchi dilate, airway reflexes are maintained, muscle tone will increase. So ketamine has been used for operations on their head, neck, and in patients who have bled with asthmatics, that is, relieves bronchospasm. So it is used in surgery for head, neck, and bronchi or asthmatics patients, in those who don't want to lose the consciousness and for a short operations. Okay, it is good for repeated use, particularly suitable for burn dressings, that is, the fire accident dressings. So combined with diazepam, it is found used in angiographies, okay, called cardiac catheterization, that is, insertion of catheter inside the cardiac area, and trauma surgery. It may be dangerous for hypertensive, ischemic heart disease, and congestive heart failure, and in those with raised intracranial pressure. Okay, because ketamine increases the cerebral blood flow and oxygen consumption, so that the intracranial pressure will further increases, but it is not good, but it is good for hypovolemic patients. Next, complications that is can face during general anesthesia. So during anesthesia, respiratory depression and hypercapnia can occur. Okay, so there may be depression of respiration, respiratory center, and there will be increased in carbon dioxide concentration. Then salivation, respiratory secretions can increase. Okay, so this is due to irritation of your respiratory system. Next, cardiac arrhythmia, asystole, that is absence of systole, and there may be a fall in blood pressure. Aspiration of gastric content, that is acid pneumonitis, that is entry of your substances from the stomach into the respiratory tract, it is called as aspiration. Okay, laryngospasm and asphyxia. Okay, so there will be spasm in your larynx region due to over secretion, and this will lead to respiratory trouble, that is absence of respiration, it is called as asphyxia. Awareness, dreadful perception, and recall of events during surgery. Okay, so certain patients will be aware even after the anesthetics, they will be aware, so they will recall the events during surgery. This occurs due to use of very light anesthesia plus analgesics and muscle relaxant. The next, the person may feel with delirium, that is excitation, convulsion, and other excitatory effects are generally seen with IV anesthetics. So especially phenothiazines or hyoscine have been given as an pre-medication. So these can be suppressed with the opioids, and there may be a chance of fire and explosion in case of inflammable substances are used as an general anesthetics. Next, after anesthesia, the patient can feel with nausea and vomiting, persistent sedation, that is sleepiness, impaired psychomotor function. So after administration of general anesthesia, the physical and the motor function, the psychic function will be altered for some time. Pneumonia, atelectasis, that is lung disorder, organ toxicities like liver, kidney damage can occur. Next is a nerve palsy. So this is due to faulty position of during injection. Okay, so in emergency, this can lead to delirium too. Delirium means excitation. So cognitive defects can be observed. So prolonged excessive cognitive decline has been observed in some patients, especially the elderly who have undergone general anesthesia, particularly for a long duration. So if the patient in a old patient, if they are exposed for a long duration to general anesthesia, so this can produce cognitive, that is memory function disorder functions. Okay, so with this we can stop our class today. Remaining we can see in the next class. Take care. Bye bye.